This is news on What's Up Caribbean for Monday, February 2nd, 2015. Stay with us as we brief you on regional developments. I am Deanza Roberts. In the headlines, Caribbean Airlines director still missing. Thousands of Dominican-born Haitians at risk of expulsion from the Dominican Republic. And Bahamas condemns murder of Japanese journalist by ISIS. The details to these and other developments straight ahead.
Turbo charge. Dirty life. Turbo charge. Boom. The fed start. The place mad. One flash of rum. My head gone. Fall in the fed like raindrops. So when I lead, you follow me. Lord. As I reach the fed, I jump it up. Any girl I hold, I walk it up. Don't come and tell me the party done, cause I come in here to play bass. Cause right now me, turbo, boom, charge. Right now me, turbo, charge. Right now me, turbo.
In the news, retired BWIA pilot and Caribbean Airlines director Azad Nayamat is still missing. The 69-year-old left his Shogwanas home on Thursday morning, saying he was going to a hardware store. He has not been seen since then. His relatives are now fearing the worst after a team of officers discovered his vehicle on Friday morning. Police sources in Trinidad said yesterday because they have no proof of life and because no one has demanded a ransom, they have concluded that he may have been killed in a planned robbery. Reports are that the father of two reportedly sent a distress call to his daughter, who lives in Miami, prompting her to alert relatives. Tens of thousands of Dominican-born Haitians are at risk of being expelled from the Dominican Republic. Amnesty International Program Director Erica Guevara, in a statement, said that the deadline, which expired at midnight on February 1st, means that the hopes of tens of thousands of vulnerable people will collapse and they will face that expulsion from the DR. She said it is time to put an end to that crisis. According to her, when the vast majority of these people were born, the then applicable Dominican law recognized them as citizens. Depriving them of that right, she says, and the creation of insurmountable administrative obstacles to be able to remain in the country constitute a violation of their human rights. The Bahamas government says it will continue to work with the international community to fight terrorism, as it condemned the murder of Japanese journalist Kenny Guto over the weekend. Describing the terrorist group Islamic State in Syria as a rogue group, the Perry Christie government said that it was standing in solidarity with Japan in the face of this murder and roundly condemned this and all such unlawful acts. The Bahamas reaffirms its respect for the dignity and sanctity of human life and will work with the international community to fight this challenge of our civilization, a statement from the government said. Japan reacted with anger and defiance to the execution of the 47-year-old journalist who was beheaded on Saturday by an Islamic State militant. Authorities in Dominica are warning that bird feathers commonly used in carnival costumes should not be imported into that country unless the process is facilitated through the Ministry of Agriculture. There are fears that importing them directly could expose the island to the avian influenza, commonly known as the bird flu. According to Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Reginald Thomas in a statement, he said, "We would prefer not to bring in feathers from any of the Asian countries at this time unless there is some treatment from the transshipment point." Finally in the news, after months of lobbying, the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, the BHTA, is pleased that member hotels are now eligible for duty-free concessions. Legislation granting the concessions was published in the official gazette last November after being passed in Parliament in October, and the association received correspondence last week informing them that hotels can now apply for concessions on consumables not listed on the revised section schedule of the Tourism Development Act, the TDA. The BHTA hails this as great news and has publicly thanked the government of Barbados and by extension the Minister of Tourism Richard Seeley and the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, the Honorable Christopher Sinclair, for all their work towards making this a reality. That's a wrap of news. A look at sports up next. In sports, Kim Collins continues to defy as he delivered a world-leading and personal best of 6.48 second run to win the 60-meter dash at the Russian Winter Indoor Permit held in Moscow on Sunday. Collins, who hails from St. Kitts, dominated the field to win ahead of American Mike Rogers, 6.56 seconds, and Cuba's Yunir Perez, 6.61 seconds. Antigua's Daniel Bailey continues to make his return from injury with a fourth-place finish of 6.65 seconds. England's Dwayne Chambers was sixth. Collins first broke the 10-second barrier in 2002 when he ran 9.98 seconds in Manchester, England. 12 years later, Collins bettered that mark when he clocked 9.96 in London in July of 2014. That was a look at sports. A recap of the headlines up next.
Turbocharge. Dirty life. Turbocharge. Boom. The fed start. The place mad. One flash of rum. My head gone. Fall in the fed like raindrops. So when I lead, you follow me. Lord. As I reach the fed, I jump it up. Any girl I hold, I walk it on. Don't come and tell me the party done, cause I come in here to play bass. Cause right now me, turbo, boom, charge. Right now me, turbo, charge. Right now me, turbo.
Recapping the top stories, Caribbean Airlines director still missing. Thousands of Dominican-born Haitians at risk of expulsion from the Dominican Republic. And Bahamas condemns murder of Japanese journalist by ISIS. Remember, for the latest in news, sports and other developments in the region, log on to whatsapcaribbean.com, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. This was a Carib 5 production. Thanks for joining us.